Mic check. Are we live? Yes, I believe we're live. So, 2022 was a really weird year for 1 6 figures. I mean, we're just getting out of the pandemic, but a huge part of the releases were influenced by the pandemic in terms of how late they were or the types of figure they released. This marks a year where Hot Toys, the biggest 1/6 company probably in the world, uh, changed their business model. So there were things like weird reissues, like destroying the value of some of their products, and also coming up with super exclusive products that were, sort of very hard to get or impossible to get for the most of us without paying like way out their prices. So uh, this influenced the figures that were released. So I'm gonna do my top 10 figures of 2022. I did this originally in Tagalog, but I realized that I also have a lot of English speaking subscribers, so I really have to redo it in English. But the good part is that I edited some of the honorable mentions because there were so many of them. Most of them were reissues, so I just figured I might not discuss them for the sake of time, just for it to be more brief. Uh, so there you go. I'm just checking, okay, if I have chats or anything because there. Okay, so glad that worked out without a hitch. So without further ado, here are my top 10 figures of 2022. Top 10. Okay, wait. I'm just gonna do something. Okay, my top 10. Number 10 is Soso Toys Boss Man or Kingpin. Uh, when I unboxed him, I said that he was going to be figure of the year, but upon looking at my list, I just realized that he's just number 10. Uh, the reason for that is, of course, I really like the character. I really like the face sculpt. So Toys is a third company that just does this amazing things with face sculpts, and it's number 10 because there's a big downside to it. The articulation is very similar or less than similar to Fat Thor. Uh, you can't really move it around much, uh, but it also suits the character well because he's a big guy and he won't be doing any Spider-Man poses or anything like that. And another downside I realized with him is that the suit, I don't think it's gonna stand the test of time. There will be a time where it's gonna yellow out because that's what happens to the color white after a while. But the good news is that at least he came with an alternate outfit, so you might swap that out when the time comes that it's gonna be, the suit's gonna be a bit yellow. Personally, I heard some collectors reselling theirs because they realize that fact. As for me though, I think I'm gonna stick with him for as long as I can until his suit is like buttercream yellow or something. But that's just me because I really like the character. Okay, number 9. Number 9 is the Iron Man illusion, the Mysterio Iron Man illusion, or affectionately known as Zombie Iron Man. I have him number 9 because I like zombies, and add that with the fact that Iron Man is really an iconic figure both in the MCU and in Hot Toys, because Hot, Iron Man really was what brought Hot Toys to the top. So there's that. So combine those two, his significance as a character and a figure, along with zombies, it's just amazing. Check out the details, like his rotted skull is sticking out of his helmet, the rotten armor, his right leg showing his like biomechanical parts, and then there's the diorama of his grave and the tombstone of Tony Stark. So man, it is really cool. Add that with the eerie lights from Mysterio's illusion effect. I think it's just amazing that Hot Toys went with this. because it's a really really out there figure, and you know, this is more for the art than for anything resembling commerce, because in a few, I don't think this figure would, would be remembered like 30 years from now. It's just gonna be a zombie concept Iron Man, which is also very cool in itself. Even if the movie wasn't released, I'd buy this just because I like zombies and Iron Man is an iconic figure. Let's go to number 8. Yes, number 8 is Sephiroth Game Toys. I actually confused him with number 7 because I remember putting him on number 7. But Sephiroth Game Toys. Here, Game Toys is a third party company that's arguably the best. Soso Toys releases products that are more of in tune to the comic fans, but Game Toys, they really release figures based on video game characters, and when they release stuff, it usually slaps so hard, man. I mean, if you like any Game Toy stuff, and especially if it's Final Fantasy VII, you really have to pre-order them, because that's the only way you can get them. Friend, I'm doing a stream. Go outside first, okay? Yeah, that was my son who was bringing his his mobile shows in here, so I had to let him go out. So Sephiroth Game Toys, you have to pre-order Game Toys because they always run out. I missed out on all the Game Toys and I had to get them in different means because I was so shocked. I don't do pre-orders anymore, but with Game Toys I realized that you have to pre-order them. I also missed out on their Zack Fair, the Game Toys Zack Fair, because I did not pre-order them and I could not get them anymore. So I got VTS Toys. I mean, I should have put Zack Fair in my what do you call that, in my honorable mentions, which I would bring out later, but I did not do that. So Game Toys Sephiroth, check out the head sculpt, the green eyes, the details of it. However, it does come with downsides. That's why, as beautiful as this figure, I had to put him in number 8, because the downsides is, the first one is the outfit itself. Those belts, those things, those dangling things, they come off. They're just very fragile. And in my case, I think I had 2 parts that just came off without me barely articulating them. Second is that the pauldrons just slip. It's hard to keep them on. Number 3, those big wings, as beautiful as they are very hard to display. They're very heavy. As a matter of fact, I had to put a box under it just so it will stay in place. And it's also very fragile. The feathers come off, the metal connector bends. So it's very fragile. It's a very good concept, but the execution was not perfect at all. And then lastly, the die-cast sword. You see that long sword of him, that very, very long sword. I forgot the name. There's a name for that sword. It's really heavy, so it's hard to get him in really cool poses. I had to find ways to display my Sephiroth. I mean, he's in the back and you can barely see him. But basically, the sword, the wings, along with the really fragile costume, it's so hard it's hard to get him into a pose that you like, so you just get him into a pose that's functional. So there's that for Sephiroth. So that's why he's number 8 as even if it's a really beautiful figure. The extra head sculpt, I also have a hard time looking for a purpose for it because it's eyes closed. So I mean, it's an iconic head sculpt. He always has that eyes closed pose, in the promo posters. But I just wanted to use all my accessories of him, so that's why I really can't use the eyes closed head sculpt. Yes, thank you. And Yomo, we have a chatter. Thank you, man. Yomo is saying this Sephiroth is a really awesome looking figure. Yes, no doubt about it. Thank you to Final Fantasy for reissuing the game, because along with that we came with a different model and a more detailed model of Sephiroth, which came into fruition in this 1/6 figure. So it is still awesome. Definitely a top figure of 2022. And let's go to number 7. Number 7 is Rambo 3-0 Rambo First Blood. Okay, I'm just gonna get a copy of these things because I realized I didn't number this, so it's really hard to know which part I am right now, which part of the top I am right now. So, Rambo First Blood from 3-0. This is one of my very first videos that had 500 views. That is very rare for a YouTuber like me because I don't get that much views. I'm still starting out. But this figure, a lot of people check it out, which is a testament to how beautiful it is. Look at the weathering from the jeans, the tank top, the poncho, the accessories, which screams, which they 3-0 did Rambo right. The face sculpt. I think this is the best Rambo figure out there, barring the statues, because I don't know anything about the statues. But as far as the figure is concerned, this even beats the Rambo 3 version. I almost got the 3-0 Rambo 3 version, but upon checking the face sculpt, this First Blood one is what nails the character of Rambo. So 3-0, I only have one 3-0, spoiler alert, in this list. Because 3-0, as much as I love them, they also miss out on some parts. For example, they do not have a base stand for this, which is kind of sucks. It's sort of a missed opportunity. But other than that, 3-0, they want to keep their prices low. They want to get as much detail in their figures as much as possible. For number 7, Rambo First Blood, amazing figure. The downsides, though, in my experience, the bullet belts, they're kind of really hard to install and they're very, very flimsy. Mine broke, so I had to glue them. And the machine gun, the M50 machine gun, the stands also broke, so I had to glue it and it's stuck in one position right now. So they are very fragile accessories because remember, 3-0, they kind of try to save. They are not really a third-party figure maker, but they cut costs, so they would price their things lower. So there are a lot of beautiful 3-0 figures, but just be careful of the quality. That's all I'm saying, as much as I'm a big 3-0 fan. So this is number 7, Rambo. Okay, let's hit number 6 before we go to the honorable mentions, because trust me, there's so much of them. Believe me, when I edited it, I was like, oh my god, I put in too much. Okay, so let us head to number 6. Are you surprised, man? Are you surprised? Pennywise from It Hot Toys. This was released early in the year, so a lot of people forgot about it. Also because Enart made their own Pennywise, and it sort of overshadowed the thunder of Hot Toys Pennywise. But if you remove the Enart equation, if you just look at it and see it for what it is, this is such a beautiful figure. Look at the head sculpt, man. Look at the details. I mean, if you light it right, it looks almost real. It's just such a beautiful figure. It's a love letter to the movie, a very good testament to horror figure fans. I mean, this figure is so scary, you cannot display it with kids around. That's how much it nails the horror aspect of 1/6. Look at the decapitated bloody hand, the bloody skateboard, the Jack in the Box, the really creepy balloon, and then of course the icing on the cake is the diorama. It has a diorama where you can insert the other head sculpt under it to recreate that scene when he was under the storm drain talking to George. I mean, it's the only diorama I know that makes use of another head sculpt. Imagine if the previous Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy game toys, the game toy Sephiroth had something that made use of the Sephiroth extra head sculpt. Imagine, that would have been so functional, that would have been so amazing. So this one did that. Enart did not do it. I mean, I'm not knocking on Enart because what Enart showed us was also beautiful, but it wasn't by that much. A lot of people, I mean, just sort of down this figure unfairly. saying that Inart was way better because of the sculpted hair. Come on, man. This doesn't the rooted hair. I mean, but come on. This one does not need a rooted hair. The sculpted hair is fine. It was done very well. So it's a bit unfair to say that Inart is way better in it because it's not. It's just a little better. So that's I do not own this figure. I do not own this figure because I ran out of shelf space and I don't know where to put him. But other than that, just being objective, it has to be top 6, man. I've seen reviews of it, many pictures of it, and it's just amazing. I have to put it here. I'd feel guilty if I'm not gonna put it in top 6. Okay, so Yomo says another comment. Another good one. I love what they did with the base for this Pennywise. Yes. Get this figure for a steal because everybody is crazy and buying the hype with Inart. Inart is good, but by not that much. So get this figure. It's on a massive sale. People are selling it, especially when Inart's Pennywise is released and everybody's going for FOMO. You get this. You be smart and you get this. It is totally worth it. I mean, I would get it. I'd put it in a box and just keep it until I have the space. I would do that someday. Okay, so now that we hit top 6, let's hit on the honorable mentions because there's just a crazy lot of them, man. Okay, first honorable mention. This is by no means in order. Omni-Man from the Invisible series. It's done by So-So Toys, and they did a really unique thing here because they did not copy the comic or the animated design. Instead, they turned it 3D. They made it realistic. They made him look like Jonah Jameson, basically. So, but I like how they did it. Sometimes I'm not very much into the comic aesthetic. Although later on you'd see me counter that argument with the list that I put out. but for now, let's just say that realistic stuff is usually always better when it comes to 1/6 figures. So maybe that's the reason why I don't collect Dragon Ball Z, because they're animated stuff, but I like them more realistic when it comes to 1/6 figures. So this one is on the top. It's on my honorable mention because I love the character. I love what they did. But however, there's a massive downside to this. You cannot pose it, man. Check it out. It does one pose. You can bend the hands, you can bend the knees a bit, okay? This is also like Fat Thor. It's barely able to articulate. But Omni-Man is such a confident character. He's such a badass that a museum pose is enough to bring out his presence. So that's it. That's why it's only in an honorable mention, and it cannot go higher because of those limitations. Invincible is coming out soon, his son, and it would be very hard to get them in a combat pose. They're just gonna be standing there, so that's the downside. It's as good as a semi-statue. That's what I say. Okay, another honorable mention. From So-So Toys. So-So Toys is just knocking it out of the park, man. This is classic Loki from the Loki TV series. Look at the face sculpt, man. Hot Toys announced theirs, but I think they would be having second thoughts right now because how can you beat that? As in, how can you beat that? That is just such a beautiful head sculpt. So-So Toys, they work hard on their head sculpts. They don't release a lot of stuff. They keep their prices ultra low, and they just make really, really beautiful head sculpts. So Toys gets that classic Loki. Just look at that, man. It's very self-explanatory. Okay. Another honorable mention is, of course, this is from me. I have to have this. This is a rather controversial figure. A lot of people laugh at this and wondered who will get it. But you know who got it? I did. This is Venomized Iron Man. It's a biomechanical monster. It's like from a creature from Resident Evil. I mean, it's like a tyrant, man. It's like Iron Man with a tyrant virus. They call it Snow Crab Iron Man because you see those symbiote legs that's poking out. They look like crab legs or cockroach legs or whatever. But I really love the design. I love the story the suit is telling, because it's Iron Man in the middle phase of transitioning into a symbiote mechanical monster. So it's really like a Resident Evil character, and I love the risks that Hot Toys put out. Because think of it, if Hot Toys don't do this, they're just gonna be doing the most typical Iron Man and Spider-Man figures, man. And that is so boring. Hot Toys is taking a risk, even doing a collaboration with a guy. You can see this, Ku Fuklong James. Yes, sorry man if I'm butchering the pronunciation, but they work with him. It's a collaboration, and this is the concept that they came out with, and I love the figure. Of course, it has problems. It's very hard to articulate. It's very hard to move. That's why I had to put it on my honorable mention to be a bit objective. So yeah, Yomo is commenting in the chat. The Soso Toys has been killing it this year. Exactly, Soso Toys, despite the pandemic economy, they really have a very solid business model that really serves the fans. Another honorable mention, I think we're on to 3 right now. It's Jin Sakai. When I did the Tagalog version for this, I forgot his name because I was just so unprepared. But right now, I did a better job of remembering it. This is from VTS Toys. It's Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. Man, I think if you're a PlayStation or a Ghost of Tsushima fan, this is going to be the top figure for you, because check it out. Check out the details of the armor. Check out the head sculpt, the array of weapons from the katana blades, the bow and arrow, the kunais, the grenades. You know, even the fox. Even the fox is there, and the diorama. This is just a high class figure. The only reason I have this in my honorable mention is that I never played this game. When this came out, I did not have a PlayStation, and right now I do not have the time to play it on the PlayStation. I already have a PlayStation 5, but I just don't have the time. But other than that, I think this release and the PlayStation 4, and they just did so many good things with the technology of the PlayStation 4. This is like the ultimate samurai game. I saw the reviews for it. I was there for the hype of it. And man, this figure, if you have a PlayStation room, if you have a game room, and you want to make a shrine dedicated to gaming, you have to have this figure. I suggest you get it before it becomes very rare, because that's the thing with third-party figures. They're very cheap today, tomorrow they are gone. That's just how it is, man. This is from VTS Toys. Go get it if you play the game, even if you're not a hardcore collector. Okay, let's go to our last honorable mention before we proceed with the program. Oh my god. Hot Toys Cable. This is a damn controversial figure. A lot of people were so angry at this. They're so angry at it because because shirtless, he looks almost anemic and his neck is too long. So they focus on that. They criticize his figure because it was delayed to death, delayed for such a long time. And then when it came out, it was basically just the prototype, which everybody did not enjoy. But for me, Josh Brolin Cable and Comic Cable are very different, because Comic Cable is just too jacked, man. It was beyond human in terms of him being jacked. He's like bigger than Brock Lesnar or something. I mean, if you watch wrestling or MMA, Brock Lesnar is a giant of a man, and I think Comic Cable is bigger than him. So you see, that's just unrealistic. So Josh Brolin portrayed a more realistic Cable, down-to-earth Cable with the right body muscle ratio. So a lot of people were put off by that. But for me, I like his portrayal so much that I have separated and divorced the Comic Cable and the movie Cable. So as a movie Cable, and I like his backstory, his tragic backstory, compared to Comic Cable's more comic book story. I like this one. It's more down to earth. It's a lot easier to understand. So the details of it, I love it. I have it to have it on my honorable mention, and with everything on the guns, the poncho, it's just a very beautiful figure, despite what others say. Okay, so that's the last of my honorable mention before we go back again to our top figures. So this is number 5. Are you expecting this? Of course, I mean, this is 2022's chased figure. If there's one figure in 2022 that I believe is rightfully available and at the same time would increase in value, it is this figure, because when this got out, it sold out really fast. I wasn't even able to get it at retail. I saw it on Toys Wonderland, and I was like, do I really want to start with Star Wars? So I was like, I'll think about it. And when I thought about it, when I decided to get it, it was gone. So you see, I'm not a Star Wars collector. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a ultra Star Wars fan, and I am not a Star Wars collector. But this Boba Fett arena suit just made me fall in love, because even though it just seems like a repaint of the Clone Wars version of Boba Fett, the way Hot Toys just did black, the color black, and the weathering of the armor, along with the inclusion of the range melee weapon, the pike or the halberd, I'm not sure what it is, the spear. It was just so beautiful that I had to start a Star Wars shelf. So this figure, top 5 Boba Fett arena suit, it made me start my Star Wars collection. Even though I got Darth Maul first, but realizing that I wanted this was what made me decide to start a Star Wars shelf. So this is it, the chase figure of 2022, Boba Fett arena suit, a top 5. And number 4, I almost did not include this, but Iconic Studios Street Fighter Ryu is the ultimate 1/6 fighting game character. In this year, we have a few releases of fighting game characters. The big hit, Mortal Kombat, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero. Sorry, I forgot which companies made them, but I did not include them, nor did I include them in the honorable mentions, because I had a problem with their jointed arms. It's the same reason why I also did not include some of the King of Fighters stuff I had behind me. Is because as much as I love the characters, I have to sort of be a bit objective here and doing my rankings. And in this case, Ryu was what I had to put here in my top 4, because I mean, ask yourself, when was the last time you've seen a Phison True type body in a 1/6 figure? Those stuff are really expensive, and they included it here. I mean, of course, this figure does come with some weaknesses, that you really can't do some of the poses, like, you know, the Hadouken. The Hadouken is so hard to do. What you see in the picture, that's like one of the best Hadouken poses you can do. The Hurricane Kick is so hard to do, but it does have a solid body, and it can do the winning poses or the signature poses of Ryu from the Street Fighter V video game. And I just had to put it in number 5 because I am a big fighting game fan, and I just want something on top. And it was also unique. It's a Phison type body and a figure. You've never seen that. This year, it's probably the only one that released like that. Among the fighting game figures released this year, it's the Pop Toy Scorpion, where he was in a samurai armor, and those two Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which I forgot the company, but I wasn't into them. This was it for me. So Iconic Studios Street Fighter Ryu takes the cake for the fighting game character of the year, if there was a subcategory. Okay. So let's go to number 3. Oh man, this could have been figure of the year, really. It comes with a Harley Daytona, of course, sold separately. And the Cloud figure is just done. It's like Cloud, the CGI character, come to life. It came to life and it's on your table. That's how beautiful it is. When they release it, I could not believe it because it was just so beautiful. And when I ordered it, it was gone. Yeah, so I wasn't able to get this on retail because, as I said, and you should know if you're watching me, if you're ordering stuff from Game Toys, always pre-order because they sell out really fast, especially in Asia. Because this is the Asian market right here. It's very different from the Western market. Okay, so check it out. I have it. I'm so proud of it. I only put it in number 3 because I am not a big fan of the Final Fantasy game. I like the characters, yes, but the game is just sort of not my thing. I mean, I tried playing it, but I just got bored with it. So there's that. Maybe I'm just too old for it, for the stories. But the character itself, check out that pose where he is carrying his Buster Sword with one hand and then driving the motorcycle with the other. Man, that is just so badass. This is one of my favorite figures in my collection, definitely. And it also comes with 2 arms. Okay, I'll try to show it. It's very small. You can see it in the bottom part. But Game Toys came prepared. They know the downsides of a seamless arms, that they are hard to pose and they might break over time. So they put in jointed arms. If Mortal Kombat Scorpion or Sub-Zero and Sub-Zero only did that, they would definitely belong here and might even steal the top spot away from Ryu. Because that's just sometimes how you want the aesthetic of having seamless arms, and then Game Toys just solved that problem by having both seamless arms and jointed arms over this. The accessories are beautiful, the materials there. So yeah, Game Toys could have been figure of the year. I mean, you might argue that they deserve it. It's more of personally, I'm just not a big fan. That's the only reason. Okay, so with that, we're going back to the honorable mentions. I'll try to finish all of them before we go to the top 2 and the top 1. Yeah, man. You know this is going to be in the honorable mention. Indiana Jones from Present Toys. Check out the head sculpt. The jacket is made of real leather, and it is not expensive at all. And even the stand, I don't have it here, it says Jones. So that's just the best third party execution of any licensed product. That sounds weird, right? Third party execution of a licensed product. Yeah, something like that. So it is just such an amazing figure. The articulation is awesome. The face sculpt, especially the head sculpt. Okay, the downside is that you can't take away the hat. But, you know, Indiana Jones always comes with a hat. So, if you missed out on the Hot Toys Indiana Jones, this is like, you could even say a better version of it or an updated version of it, but that's up to argument. So the only reason why this is in my honorable mention is that it is not entirely original, man. I mean, it's sort of a, somebody copying, Present Toys copying somebody else's homework, Hot Toys homework. So there's that. So that's the reason why it did not necessarily make it to my top 10. But other than that, it could have been on the upper top 5, just because Indiana Jones is an iconic character, and this is a beautiful execution of that character. So we have a new we have a new member in chat. It's Hoth's Hometown Hero. He recently subscribed. Thank you so much, Hoth. Thank you for subscribing to me over Brother Cousin stream. That is so awesome of you, man. How much is this? Okay, I'm not live with my stream, but third-party figures, they're usually cannot be above $300. They're usually $250 and below, depending on the accessories. Ryu, if you're talking about Ryu though, mine has still yet to arrive. I just decided to include here because I realized, hey, Ryu released this year, so it must have to be here. I just have to get mine. It's still on the plane somewhere, undergoing customs clearance or something. So let us proceed with another honorable mention. Stealth Suit 2.0, Captain America Stealth Suit 2.0. Oh man, this is another controversial figure. This pissed off a lot of people. Sorry about that. No pop filter in my mic. This pissed off a lot of people. They were just so angry at this because they did not have the chance to get this. So this originally released as a Shanghai exclusive. Hot Toys opened a new store in Shanghai, China. And with that opening, they want to commemorate it with some ultra limited edition figures. They're not different, they're just reimaginings of old figures. But still, if Hot Toys should learn something from Magic the Gathering, is that that's not usually a good idea, and that's how you piss off your customer base, by releasing something that's not available for everyone. So, Captain America Stealth Suit 2.0, despite all of that controversy, is such a beautiful figure. I mean, the only good Captain America for me personally is Endgame. And when they made that, they learned a lot of things when making Steve Rogers' head sculpt, along with the costume and the body proportion. And they nailed it again with this stealth suit. It is so beautiful, man. I mean, sure, you're gonna nitpick about it, like how clean the shield is, or how wrong it was, or how the Infinity Gauntlet wasn't on him when the scene was there. But I don't think about those. I'm just looking at the execution. So this stealth suit is so beautiful. But here again, the only reason why I feel zero need to get this is because the Endgame Captain America was just perfect. That was my Steve Rogers. Anything else is, just another Captain America that I don't know where I could put in my shelf. That's the reason why I have zero desire to get this. Of course, I mean, I felt some FOMO with it, but in the end, I just realized I have no more shelf space and I have to make it a priority. Okay, so Hoth is commenting, yeah, he was saying that Hoth had a shot. I had a shot at this once. Yeah, so Hoth almost got this, and then people were super mad. Yeah, because of the variants, I guess. Hoth is sharing that people were mad with this release because it. Excuse me. Wait a minute. I've been talking for a while and I realized that I would really need water. I did not realize that mistake the first time, so I should do it when I'm doing this massive year-end reviews. So people were mad at this because of the unneeded exclusivity. They forget that we are collectors and we have to have everything, or the chance to have everything. So that's it. Beautiful figure, but questionable release. Another one, of course we have to do this. If you thought Captain America Stealth Suit was bad, this was worse. This was such a cop out that people sold this for $800 and it sold. But it's still a Spider-Man figure, man. It's still a Spider-Man figure. This is the Avengers Campus Ultra Shanghai limited release. Although they eventually did release a very few quantities of this worldwide, the difference is that it did not come with a churro. Yes, just the churro alone makes it ultra rare. So yeah, Hoth is saying it's $1,000 over a churro. Exactly, man. That is like so okay, being objective though, this is a beautiful figure because again it shows a Spider-Man and his red and blue color scheme, which would you believe is actually very rare in Hot Toys. Other than this, only the classic suit Spider-Man shares the color scheme, and I just did not include I included it in my Tagalog version, but I just realized that it was too long, and a blue and red suit Spider-Man is always a welcome addition because it's the original Spider-Man that we grew up with. So this figure is very beautiful, no doubt about it. But even if I had the chance to get it, I would not get it just because of the plain fact that I already have a ton of Spider-Man figures. But if you have 0 Spider-Man figures and this was not crazy expensive, this is way worth it just because of the aesthetic alone. But because Hot Toys is just doing this weird thing where they are making some things limited without real purpose. So I don't think it's worth chasing down this figure. You can get tons of better Spider-Man. Yeah. So yes, another honorable mention. I have to have DC representation, right? I removed some of my honorable representations, which I realized later on were DC. But I have to put this in here because this is probably the last we will see of the Snyderverse. I mean, Hot Toys still owes us one Wonder Woman figure, but after that, with the Snyderverse being scrapped away, and then I don't think I'm not sure if Inart would still do Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. So having said that, this is probably one of the last remnants of the Snyderverse, and if you just want to remember it, I think you should get this figure because it's one of the very, very ultra few alternate outfits of Wonder Woman. And even though I did not like the rooted hair, there's always the helmet to cover it up. And even though I had questions with the costume because it just reminds me too much of Hawkman or Hawkgirl, I mean, if she's gonna wear this, what's Hawkman gonna wear? She's basically Wonder Hawk Woman by this point. Wonder Hawk Woman or Hawk Wonder Woman. Wonder Hawk Woman. With this costume, right? But other than that, it's an alternate outfit, and I like to imagine the Injustice timeline along with Nightmare Batman, Black Suit Superman, and this iteration of Wonder Woman as the Injustice timeline. I'd like to imagine it in my head canon as that. So I have to put it on my honorable mention. Get it because if you love the Snyderverse, that's it. If the Snyderverse did not mean anything to you, and you don't like Gal Gadot because she did get herself in some controversies, but other than that, this figure is very rare. That's it. Yeah. And another honorable mention. I do not own this figure. This is from Caustic Plastic. Let's move this a bit. Bela Lugosi as Dracula. I had to include it here because Caustic Plastic is also one of the best figure maker. I think they're new to the game, but they have a limited budget, but they are artists. I mean, if there's one company right now that's doing it for the art, it has to be Caustic Plastic, man. Check out all their releases. They are very, very specific, and they're probably the only ones making it. So if you have a movie room, I mean, if I had a movie room, I would get this because Bela Lugosi as Dracula is just an icon of cinema. Even if you did not see the movie, you would know his portrayal because it's been around. If he's just a part of movie history, man, and it's just a crime if you have a movie room without a representation of Bela Lugosi as Dracula, even though if you're not a fan of a genre or you haven't seen the movie. It's just that beautiful. And the special edition also comes with a coffin. So man, Caustic Plastic, they are real artists. I mean, I feel guilty saying that because I don't own their figures, because a lot of my shelves are dedicated to comic book and pop culture characters. Caustic Plastic does classic movie characters. They did Peter Sellers as Pink Panther, and that's also a beautiful figure. I wonder if they did a Leslie Nielsen, because that would be so crazy, man. Leslie Nielsen's one of my favorite actors growing up. He's just so funny. And yeah. So Bela Lugosi as Dracula. Check out the base. It has a magnetic stand. I mean, it has a magnetic base, so that stands via magnets. Check out the candle accessory. How they did the smoke. They are, they are really pushing one six figure technology in a different way, and they are not getting the, they're not getting the attention they deserve. They deserve more attention. Of course, I'm gonna have to have something musical because I used to play in a band. I used to do music. I mean, if I'm gonna spin my camera around, you might even, I could even show it to you. Yeah, those are my guitars. Yeah, they're just displays at this point. But once upon a time, I tried making it as a musician. So I have to have David Bowie because David Bowie is such an icon in music. While I do not own a David Bowie figure because it was hard to find out about him in the Philippines, he wasn't, as famous. But my favorite artists like Kurt Cobain and Trent Reznor, they did talk a lot about David Bowie, which led me to download some stuff from Audio Galaxy. I'm that old. Audio Galaxy and Napster, David Bowie stuff. And that's where I discovered, oh man, this guy's a genius. And so while I don't know which era of David Bowie was this, I like the green suit. I love the stage diorama. I love the accessories, and I mean, rest in peace, David Bowie. And this figure is just a good way to remember him. I also currently don't have him because I don't have a good music room. And when you have a music room and you have a shelf, and when you play bass guitar or the kick drum, some things are gonna fall. So I have to have a really secure figure music room someday, so I can have these figures along with that Kurt Cobain from Blitzway someday. That's coming out. The Kurt Cobain is still coming out next year, so I'm gonna have that someday. So this is an honorable mention. If you're a music fan, get David Bowie, man. And yes, so what's funny? Disney Plus just came into my country like November this year. So it's my first time watching The Mandalorian. So I'm so late of it because I'm talking to my friends about The Mandalorian and they look at me funny. They're like, you realize that's like 5 years old, right? I'm like, come on, really? It was like yesterday that I saw it, which was literally yesterday that I saw it. So the Dark Trooper is like the only droids in Star Wars that filled me with dread, because when I see droids in Star Wars, I only see things to be sliced by lightsabers by our heroes. They don't present real threats. But when these came out, they were a real threat to our heroes. Even ironically, Luke Skywalker showed up and just did what Jedis usually do to droids. I was thinking, they can show blood, so they might as use droids to slice up with lightsaber. So yeah, that sort of became true. But other than that, the design for the Dark Trooper is just so beautiful. I have to include it. And the way Hot Toys did it, they were just so faithful. The Dark Troopers are scary. They remind me of another creature from Dark Side of the Moon, or was it the Black Hole? It is a very familiar creature, droid design from the 80s. So I love it, love it, love it. And this is from Present Toys. No, Damn Toys. I keep mixing them up. This is from Damn Toys, The Godfather. And Vito Corleone. He's just such an icon in the way he's portrayed. And if you're a businessman, which I have businesses, a lot of his philosophies just resonate with me, because even despite being a mobster and despite being involved with shady activities, his bare philosophies in succession planning, like the way he gave the empire to his son, so and the way he views business as relationships, that just resonated with me so much. And this figure from Damn Toys with a chair, this is from the first scene of The Godfather. This is the first time we showed him, and it resonates with his character so much. It is basically a perfect expression of who he is as a businessman, as a leader. And I like it so much that it was well represented here. So the only reason it's in the honorable mention is because, again, Hot Toys already did this. This is just Damn Toys copying another person's homework, but they improve on it. So it's still worth mentioning, still worth getting another one that I should get someday. And guess what? We're finished with the honorable mentions, man. Whew, that felt great. Okay, so last top two figures. Top 2. So Toys Gambit, or the Cajun Card Dealer. This is limited to 400 pieces only, but in 6 scale network, everybody was posting this. So it was sort of hard for people to believe that there was only 450 of it, because everybody was just showing off their Gambit. And I got the very last one from Toys Wonderland. I was the one who bought the last Gambit figure in Toys Wonderland. So it was in February or January. So this is a very special figure for me. And of course, Gambit is my favorite X-Men ever. Back in the animated show, I was always just waiting for Gambit to do his stuff. He's just such a nonchalant, cool, chill character who never who never's faced with anything. And it's also amazing that he's also good with the ladies. He's a playboy, he's a charmer, he's a thief, but he's really into Rogue, who doesn't want to give him any part of the day. So I really love that dynamic. So this figure just makes it to my top 2 just because of my emotional connection with it and the fact that it just poses so badass. I mean, it's not entirely as poseable, because if there's something with So Toys, they always have problems with their bodies. They're not the sideshow problems, because the sideshow the bodies, they just fall apart. With So Toys, it's the articulation. So there's that. But other than that, you can still get him on some really cool poses with his playing cards, with his staff. And another downside that I should share is that the hands, those array of hands you see there, they don't necessarily fit the wrist pegs. So you might have to blow dry them a bit or put them in hot water to slip them in. So that's the downsides of this figure. But if you get over that, this figure has presence all day. My eyes still go towards him immediately when I look at my X-Men shelf. So he has to be number 2 to command that much attention. And finally, we are going for our top 1. There's no doubt, man. There's no doubt. Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse, What's Up Danger, is my top 1 figure. I mean, it is a Spider-Man figure. It's very hard for a Spider-Man figure to hit this spot. But let me tell you why. First and foremost, basics. It has 3 looks. Give me one figure that would give you 3 looks. Miles Morales can be posed as Miles Morales, the boy who enjoys graffiti art, who's a student, who's going through life. Then we can pose Miles Morales transitioning to Spider-Man, not letting go of him being a boy. So he still has the sweater, the hoodie on, he still has his unlaced shoes, and he is half masked because he's still transitioning into becoming a hero. And finally, his full transition as a full Miles Morales Spider-Man with his costume, with a logo he spray-painted himself, a spider logo he spray-painted himself, free of all his boyish possessions because he's now on his journey to become a man. That figure tells a story. And add that to the fact that Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite movie ever. I believe. I've watched it so many times with my son. I always love the parts where he is learning about himself. I love the part where Peter B. Parker is finding out about himself while mentoring Miles Morales, the boy. I love the story of family, that Miles Morales' father feels that he is just pushing him too hard, but ultimately realizes that he has to be his own man. So that is beautiful. His relationship with his Uncle Aaron, and how Uncle Aaron regretted being the Prowler in the end because he had to be against his beloved nephew, Miles Morales. So imagine that, man. The movie, the figure, and even the backdrop. Come on. There's no wasted thing in this outing. And this is a DX figure. Somebody commented that this is a DX figure, and there's no doubt about that. This movie also won awards, which was very unlikely for an animated feature. So I think this also got a bit of short change because everybody was thinking that this is just an animated movie. But no, it is more than that. It is top 1 figure of the year for 2022. And you've seen the competition it was up against. But Hot Toys, even despite the delays, man, you really did justice to this figure, to the movie, to the accessories, to the transitions. Just looking at it now makes me very happy because that's how much I love this figure and how it means. It also comes with the most posable Spider-Man suit ever, which again is another testament to the upgrading technology of Hot Toys. So yeah, top 1 figure, and I've been talking for 56 minutes straight right now. So man, I'm glad I did the English version for this. I did the Tagalog one, which was longer than this, and then the English one, and then oh my god, this is also an achievement in my part. Okay, so the production quality of my video still has yet to improve. So let us hope that with your support and your encouragement, I'm gonna do something about it, okay? I will try my best to improve the production quality of my videos, especially if you enjoy them. And again, thanks to Yomo, thanks to Hot's Hometown Hero. Man, thank you for being with me live on my stream. I'm still a beginner. I'm still building up my audience, but just having someone who's watching me on the merit of my content just makes my year. Everyone, I want to greet you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and 2023 is just gonna be so exciting. I got the Blitzway Act 1 and I'm planning to unbox it behind me. I have the camera set up for it when I unbox my Galactus. So, man, it is so exciting to unbox an Ecto 1 in my room. So I'm really hyped for that. Again, have a nice day, and I'm going to have my lunch now. It is 12:30 in the noon in my country. And guys, thank you so much. Thank you.